the biggest card of the year, headlined by David Benavidez taking on Anthony Yarde.
Benavidez is a guy who has all of the momentum riding with him. There's a reason why Canelo avoided this other true Mexican fighter.
If he beats Anthony Yarde in such a devastating manner, Bivol's going to be backed up to a corner. He's going to have no choice but to take on Benavidez next.
This is going to be a fantastic main event, and then just every single fight on the main card is championship. So on paper, I think this is going to be the best boxing event of the year.
There's a lot of eyes on Devin Haney. That chin isn't the same.
I mean, I think Devin Haney is going to want to run. And Brian has to find a way to get in the inside, corner Devin Haney, and land any shot.
We got the return of Bam Rodriguez.
Bam is top 5 pound for pound fighter in the world right now. There's no one on his level, so he's just going to be destroying all the competition.
Welcome back to another episode of the Last Round Podcast, where we cover everything from traditional boxing to influencer boxing and everything in between. Today's episode, we'll be going over the card of the year, headlined by David Benavidez as he takes on Anthony Yarde. But before we get into the episode, make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. And now diving into the episode, like I mentioned right now, the biggest card of the year, headlined by David Benavidez, aka La Bandera Roja, taking on Anthony Yarde in a light heavyweight championship showdown. Big card, big names. I'm very excited for it. What are you guys' thoughts about this overall card?
Yeah, man. I mean, on paper, I think this is going to be the biggest boxing event or the best boxing event of the year. So I have a lot of high hopes going into this weekend. I'm super ecstatic to see David Benavidez back in the ring. He's been climbing up the rank. Well, not even climbing up the rankings. He is the champion now at 175. So there's a lot of big names for him. And, he's going up against Anthony Yarde, who is a tough guy. Very strong, very explosive. So this is going to be a fantastic main event. And then just every single fight on the main card is championship. So I'm really excited for this weekend.
Yeah, me too. This is one of the boxing cards that I think the fans wouldn't have a problem paying pay-per-view for. Yeah. So just one of those fights where every fight is just going to be super action-packed. It's one of those things where you got Mason, going up for a world title at the young age of 21. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of hype around him. And
yeah, because if he wins, he'd be the youngest world champion today. Oh, at 21 years old. So I mean, a lot of hype going in, a lot of news for Abdullah Mason.
Yeah, and then you also have Bam Rodriguez. He's there's a lot of. I think Bam is such a. He fights at a smaller weight class, but I think if you are a true guy who follows the sport, then this guy, he's really a guy who's expected to become a champion in multiple different weight classes. This fight actually, it's a fight for a world title. You know what I'm saying? 2 champions coming at it, but he's expected to win. And then the people want to see him fight against Nakatani, Naoya.
Yeah, no, that's actually interesting with Nakatani because he was doing an interview where Bam said that it was like signed or like agreed upon that his next fight after Cafu was gonna be Nakatani, which is insane. And then but Nakatani. He didn't exactly say what happened, but he said like on his side it was all signed and everything. But Nakatani went up a weight class, and now he's expected to fight Naoya Inoue next year. He actually has a fight before the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting to me because like a Bam, yeah, he's gonna unify at 115, I believe, and then I mean I think his plan is simple. He's going to move up to 118 and try to go undisputed in another division. So big stuff for Bam Rodriguez as well.
Yeah, and then you also have the co-main event, which is Devin Haney and then Norman Jr. I think just personally for me that this would be the fight that I am looking most forward to. You have Devin Haney, who he's undefeated, but a lot of people still believe he got his ass beat, and a lot of people believe that he hasn't been the same since that no contest fight against Ryan Garcia. So he's looking in great shape, but we'll see how that chin is tested out Saturday.
I'm surprised you think that's gonna be, or that's the fight you're most looking forward to. Honestly, I'm looking forward to Abdullah Mason. Yeah, I really just the amount of hype that he has. 21 years old, going up against Noakes, who a very tough guy. So I feel like that's going to be a great fight. I think Abdullah Mason has shown great skills, and some people doubt him because he's been knocked down. But I don't know. I think he is championship level material, and we're going to see it. So.
Yeah, but in regards to the main event, super excited. There's a reason why Canelo avoided this other true Mexican fighter, David Benavidez.
That boy ain't true Mexican. What is he, a fourth? He's a fourth Mexican?
Something like that. But, when you're giving that nickname, I think, it kind of sticks. And, there's a reason why. Benavidez is a guy who has all of the momentum, riding with him. I think this is just going to be another fight for the people to enjoy. I think Anthony Yarde is a guy who every time he's put up against a tough opponent, you saw his performance against Better Beef. He did pretty well, pretty well. He fought pretty well up until it wasn't.
I mean, he did really good.
Right.
I mean, he hurt Better Beef at some points, so you can look at that fight and say, oh, he lost on paper, right? He's not an undefeated fighter. I don't think he's ever been a world champion either. But, I mean, this guy is tough, man. He really is naturally talented. I mean, he has speed. He has power. He's explosive. And he goes in there to fight. He's not one of these guys like Devin Haney whose game plan is to, get on his bicycle and start running around the ring.
Yeah.
No. He's going to go in there and he's going to go at David Benavidez. He's not going to show him any respect. And that's amazing because Benavidez loves that as well. I mean, the styles are going to clash in there. So that's what I'm saying. I'm really looking forward to this fight. I think it's going to show us Benavidez because, at 168, he was kind of bullying everybody. Right, he was the big guy. No one was even close to his size or strength. So he would bully everybody and beat them, pretty mercilessly. Now 175, I mean, he's still beating up these big guys. But with this guy, what I just forgot his name. Anthony Yarde. He's not going to be able to bully him. So I want to see how, the physicality, how they're going to interact with each other. If Yarde is going to be able to push back Benavidez, then we're going to get a very interesting fight.
Yeah, this is really all build up for, Benavidez's ultimate goal is to become undisputed at 175 and to target the big dogs, which would be Arthur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol. Let's not forget that Arthur Beterbiev was supposed to be on this card before the fight got canceled. I don't remember what it was. I think it was injury from Beterbiev, which is a pretty common thing for him to go through, especially these past couple of years. He's always getting injured. But yeah, so Arthur Beterbiev was meant to be on this card. He got scrapped out of there. Dimitri Bivol is coming back from injury as well. So both, the undisputed champion, or not even the undisputed, the unified champion, and Dimitri Bivol, no fight. Arthur Beterbiev with no fight. This is a big fight for Benavidez in order to cement himself as, keep being the champion, of course, do his first title defense, and also gain momentum to take a shot at Dimitri Bivol for undisputed. And this fight, if he beats Anthony Yarde in such a devastating manner, Bivol's going to be backed up to a corner. He's going to have no choice but to take on Benavidez next. I mean, yes, they're going to be saying, Arthur Beterbiev deserves the trilogy, which to a certain degree he does, but the momentum that David Benavidez is going to be having coming in, if he beats Anthony Yarde in devastating fashion, it's going to be too much for Dimitri Bivol to just simply ignore. So for David Benavidez, there's a lot riding for this weekend, and I think this is a great time for him to showcase once again why he's called the Mexican Monster, and to showcase that he is, in my opinion, the best fighter at 175.
Yeah, he's for sure within the top three, and I think Saturday night he's going to show why he is within the top three. I believe Benavidez is going to go in there and just show the way he fights. He's just going to slowly start imposing his style and slowly start breaking Anthony Yarde. And I think Anthony Yarde is going to have moments here and there, but I just think it's going to be too much. When Benavidez fought against Morel, Morel did have some moments. He also had that knockdown, but at the end of the day, it wasn't enough to be able to control that beast. And I don't think, as elusive and as speedy as Anthony Yarde is, I just don't believe it's going to be enough to beat Benavidez.
Yeah, Benavidez, I mean, he's not just like a power puncher, right? I mean, this guy actually has some finesse in his game. He does these little traps, these setups, applies very smart pressure. So this isn't a guy that just goes in there and starts throwing punches. He actually has a game plan. And I think a lot of people don't really appreciate that about him. He really is smart. He's calculated. He's thinking inside the ring. So I agree, man. I think, listen, Benavidez, he's on a hot streak right now. Since he got to 175. He's been fighting these tough opponents. He's coming off that Morel victory. And some people, well, I don't know, they are still like trash talking him because of that Morel victory. They say, oh, like this guy only had like 12 fights or whatever, and he like hurt him at one point. It's like, bro, Morel hits fucking hard. What do you want? Like, what do you expect him to do? Like, I don't know. So, I don't know. I still think it's gonna be a great fight. I think Yarde is gonna go in there, and in the first 4 rounds, I think it's gonna be tough. Because Yarde is going to be fast and he's going to be swinging right with Benavidez. But it's like you said, I just think Benavidez's pressure is going to get to Yarde. And it was the same thing that happened with Beterbiev. Beterbiev was just slowly inching forward. He'd get him on the ropes and unleash some combinations. There were some points where Yarde was able to, reverse it and land some shots. That might happen too, but I just think Benavidez's pressure is too much for Anthony Yarde.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Yarde has that Beterbiev fight on his resume, though he did come up short on that one. But I mean, he's got that experience to his arsenal, and that's something he could utilize hopefully against David Benavidez. But yes, it's interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how Yarde approaches the fight, because I figured when Benavidez fought David Morel, I thought David Morel was going to be a bit more active. But he was very, very cautious, especially early on. And, I mean, David Benavidez was just picking him apart at points, even, like, doubling up, like, the uppercuts, tripling up the hooks. I mean, he was having his way offensively against David Morel early on in the fight, and he was piecing him up. It's going to be interesting to see how Anthony Yarde enters the fight. He could enter the fight like he did against Beterbiev and make it very competitive the first opening couple rounds. But it all depends on what version we get of Yarde. And I just believe, though, that it doesn't matter what version Yarde comes in. I think Benavidez will be getting the job done. And hey, don't be surprised if David Benavidez gets his first stoppage win at 175 this weekend.
Yeah.
What are you guys' predictions?
I'm gonna say Benavidez by a stoppage.
Yeah, it makes sense because I mean the styles are gonna clash. So like with the Benavidez and Morel was kind of on the back foot. He didn't actually try to fight Benavidez, like try to gain some advantage or go forward. He was fine with fighting on the back foot, and Benavidez was trying to hunt him down. In this fight, I really do think Yarde is going to try to go in there and just clash with him. So it's going to give Benavidez his best chance. So I do think this fight is his best chance of getting a stoppage. I think he's going to do it. I think late 10. Yeah, around 10, he's going to be able to finally break him down. And the accumulation of punches, I can already imagine Yarde's face is already like messed up from, all the punches that Benavidez throws, man. His volume is insane.
So there you have it, our official first prediction for the main event. We are all predicting David Benavidez to come out on top, retain his belt, and remain undefeated this upcoming weekend against Anthony Yarde. And now going down to our co-main event, we got the Americans on deck. We got Devin Haney making his debut at welterweight, taking on the current champion Brian Norman Jr. Last time we saw the champion was against Jin Sasaki over in Japan, where he delivered a KO of the year contender, knocking out Sasaki in the 5th round to the point where bro does not even remember what happened like the months prior to this whole thing. So crazy power from Brian Norman that he has in that hook. Last time we saw Devin Haney was in the very, I would say, what's the word?
Crowd pleasing.
And the very, disappointing night in Times Square where he took on Jose Ramirez in a fight that was very... Oh, wait, no, he's not making his debut. He's making his second fight at welterweight because he fought.
Yeah, it was at a catchweight, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
Okay, so this is actually his full debut at welterweight. So that was a catchweight. But last time we saw Devin Haney was against Jose Carlos Ramirez in a fight that fucking bored everyone there in New York. So Devin Haney has a lot of hate coming in, and he has a lot to... He's got to deliver big this weekend. And what better way to deliver big than to beat the champion and take his belt? Thoughts about this fight?
Yeah, for me, look, there's a lot of eyes on Devin Haney. That last performance wasn't the best, and I'm of the same thinking that a lot of people are thinking is that that chin isn't the same. That chin was always never the strongest. It was never a solid chin. There was instances where at 135 he was getting caught with some of these shots by these smaller dudes, and it was kind of hurting. Or you could see Devin Haney feeling the effects of some of these shots, but playing it cool or whatever. But yeah, man, I mean, he has a lot to prove, and I think Devin Haney is one of those guys who definitely shows up when it's time to turn up. But I just think he has a really tough, difficult opponent. Brian Norman Jr. is a guy who not only hits hard, but he's also a guy who has really good boxing fundamentals. He has a pretty good boxing IQ, and I think that the reason why I'm leaning towards Norman is because he's also fast, and he's a guy who could maybe not match Devin Haney's speed, but he could for sure time him, and I think that's all it takes. Especially when you have the chin situation and the way Devin Haney doesn't really want to exchange with his opponents. I think all Norman needs is like one good solid punch.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great fight. I think Norman definitely does have a lot of momentum, a lot of hype going on right now. He's obviously got that fantastic knockout earlier this year. So, and listen, I've become a fan of him since this fight started. I didn't know he had such a thick accent. He's so funny. He's so entertaining just to watch him speak. Yeah. And I was watching the face-off between Devin Haney and Brian Norman. Bro, Norman was cooking him. I ain't gonna lie. Like the accent, and just like he was saying, "I'm gonna punch you, and your ankles are gonna buckle." Like, he was saying all this type of stuff. I became a fan of Norman. So
I think one of the things that I liked from that face-off was the fact that Norman accused Devin Haney of using Floyd Mayweather lines and stuff like that.
He accused them, and it was true. They put the clips. Floyd said the exact same thing. Like Devin Haney said, he was stealing his whole style, man. Like that was a 10-8 round right there in the face-off. So I think Brian Norman is going into the fight one up. So definitely. But yeah, I mean, looking into this fight, I mean, I don't think it's that difficult to really bet on it. I mean, I think Devin Haney is gonna want to run. He's gonna try to use his jab, stay on the outside. He does not want to exchange at all with Brian Norman Jr. And Brian has to find a way to get in the inside, corner Devin Haney, and land any shot. I mean, his hooks are deadly, obviously. He also has a deadly right hand. Both of his hands, he carries immense power. So he's a very dangerous guy, and Devin Haney is gonna have to do a spectacular job. He's gonna have to perform his A+ game and not get on those ropes, because if Brian Norman gets you on those ropes and starts unleashing some combinations on you, Haney's going down. So it should be an interesting fight, man. Hopefully Brian Norman Jr. has been, they got in there, they watched some tape, and they actually have a game plan to how to fight Devin Haney. Because if he just goes in there and starts chasing him, then it's going to be a very boring fight.
Yeah, and I don't. What's funny is that I don't think it's going to be like that. Another reason why my noodle is a little bit towards Norman's team is the fact that have you seen the gym that he's been training? This whole entire camp, the gym that he's been training at. I've seen clips of him, either jumping rope, hitting the mitts, or hitting the bag. Hey, that's one of those gyms where you're almost like starting from the bottom. You don't have the right equipment, you don't have the right gym or the right facilities, but the hunger's still there, and you want to do whatever it takes to get out of that situation. I think just like how I said, Haney does have quite a bit to show, not just himself, but to himself, but for the boxing fans as well. I also think Norman has a lot to prove. Yes, he had a spectacular knockout earlier this year against, one can say it was a nobody, but, if he does get a solid victory against Haney, I think this opens up a whole new level, a whole new door for him. A lot more fight opportunities, more big money fights and stuff like that. So, interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, Norman is, on the cusp of stardom. I think a lot of people, especially with this promotion leading up to the fight, they've been able to see a lot more of his personality. A lot of people are really, siding with him now, and they're appreciating the type of personality that he brings outside of the ring. So if Brian Norman Jr. is able to get the win over Devin Haney, Devin Haney, love him or hate him, he's still regarded as a huge name in mainstream boxing. So Brian Norman Jr. is able to do good work and beat Devin Haney. There's no doubt that Brian Norman Jr.'s stardom and his stock is gonna rise exponentially. So I'm very excited to see the outcome of this fight. There's a lot of factors that makes it a very intriguing matchup. I'll give my prediction right now. I'm predicting Brian Norman Jr. to win this upcoming weekend and to retain his WBO welterweight championship. I just think that mentally Devin Haney is shot. That Ryan Garcia fight definitely took something out of him, and mentally he's not there, and it showed against Ramirez. I mean, the way he fought during that fight, and there's no doubt about it that now he's going up against Brian Norman Jr., who's a lot more in his prime, a lot more active fighter, a fighter who's actually hungry, unlike Ramirez, who is going to go in there to try to bust your head open. And I don't think that Devin Haney is mentally right anymore after that Ryan Garcia fight, and I think Brian Norman Jr. has a lot to prove, and I think he wants to prove this weekend, and the way to prove it is to defeat Devin Haney. So I got Brian Norman Jr. remaining champion at the welterweight division.
For me, I'm gonna go with a Norman KO. I just believe that in order for Devin Haney to win, he has to fight the perfect fight, and maybe one can say he did fight the perfect fight in his last fight when I don't even think he got touched really. I don't even think I remember seeing Ramirez really landing much. But he's going up against a guy who is just a lot faster, a lot stronger, and a lot younger, and I think a lot more hungrier. And I think it's going to be a tough night for Haney. I think eventually Norman is just going to catch him and just going to put him to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Haney, say what you want about him. The chin, okay, yeah, he goes down. But that boy got some dog in him. He was taking a whooping in that Ryan Garcia fight, and every single time he got up, specifically that second knockdown, he was hurt bad, man. Like, he was damn near out. And he got up, he stuck to it, and he went all 12 rounds. So, I agree, Brian Norman is going to win. And I think there's going to be some knockdowns in there because Norman carries that type of power. But it's either he has to, if he's going to KO him, he has to like flatline him like in Japan. He basically has to do that. Or if he doesn't, if he just knocks him down, hurts him, I think Haney's just going to get up and dog it out. So I think it's going to go decision, but I think it's going to be like 2-3 knockdowns in between. Brian Norman is going to get the unanimous decision.
So we're all predicting once again that Brian Norman Jr. will be remaining champion at the welterweight division and defeating Devin Haney this upcoming weekend. A lot of people, I think Brian Norman also has to watch out for the clinches, man. Because remember that I think the funniest thing about Devin Haney sometimes is people put up the stat that they put up on the Haney against Kambosos. I don't remember which one it was, the first or second fight, but it showed a fight stat in the middle of their fight saying, he's initiated 17 clinches tonight. So, Devin Haney or Brian Norman Jr. has got to watch for the clinch against Devin Haney this weekend. But moving down the list, we spoke about it briefly. Now we'll go more in depth about it. Abdullah Mason returns for his first ever world title shot against Sam Noakes. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Regardless, UK fighter Sam's taking on Abdullah Mason, who is the ring ambassador, 21 years of age. If he wins this upcoming weekend, he becomes the youngest active champion in boxing today. So big things are at stake for both fighters, the championship and history for Abdullah Mason. And for Top Rank, this is like the best thing for them because they've developed Abdullah Mason from the beginning of his career, and now they're watching, hopefully him become a world champion, so they will know that their investment was not in vain. Thoughts about this upcoming matchup?
Yeah, I think for me, it's it's a very big fight. It's every fighter's a big moment. To be able to fight for the chance for one of the 4 major sanctioning titles in boxing. So there's a lot of eyes on him. Not too knowledgeable about the other guy, but when we talk about Abdullah Mason, we've seen the progression from when he first started to now, and I think for Top Rank, as of right now, they still don't have a streaming platform, right? But for them to put such a young fighter like Abdullah Mason on such a very big card, I think it just kind of shows that Top Rank is 100% confident and they have no problem backing Abdullah Mason. I think they're confident that he's going to come out with the victory. I think Abdullah Mason, it seems to be almost untouchable and a perfect fighter. You see the timing, you see the speed, and then you see the power. And you're also able to see the adjustments that he's able to make when he is under fire, and he's able to overcome those and then come on top. And so for me, I can't see in this fight going any other way other than for Mason.
Yeah, I wouldn't say untouchable. That boy's been dropped. He's been dropped twice.
That's true.
And that's a big talking point for a lot of people. He obviously has a ton of hype, but the haters of him, the critics say, he got dropped by this nobody twice. Like, his defense isn't good. He's overrated. And I say to that, I think that's just harsh criticism right there. We got to remember, first of all, he was probably 20 when he had that fight. So he's super young. He's learning. And he got dropped. But how did he get dropped? He got dropped. He went down. He got right back up, and he was perfectly fine. 30 seconds later, he drops his opponent. So I think it shows you he got a chin. I don't think it's bad if you get dropped, but you're totally okay, and you get back up, and you can still you're 100% there. I don't think that's having a bad chin. I think you can have a bad chin, never go down, but you get clipped and you're on Bambi legs for the rest of the round. That's a bad chin. Yeah. So I think Abdullah, listen, he's been tested. I think that fight was a really good test for him against a power puncher, learning how to get back up. And like you said, Abdullah, he's great at making adjustments. For being so young, he does have a very high ring IQ. He can make adjustments on the spot. So I really am looking forward to this fight. I also don't know too much about Noakes, but he is a tough guy. I believe he has a lot of power too. I've only seen clips of him, so it should be an interesting fight. But the stars, if the stars align, it looks like we're gonna get our youngest world champion in Abdullah Mason.
Yeah, I'm looking at Noakes' record: 17-0 with 15 by way of knockout. So on paper, heavy-handed. And Abdullah Mason, of course, you can't deny he's got power as well. 19 wins, 17 knockouts in there. So both power punchers. Both going for the title, vacant title at 135, one of the most stacked divisions in boxing today. So it's a good division to be a champion in, and whoever becomes champion, regardless of the outcome this upcoming weekend, is going to be under a lot of pressure. We have the unification, not the unification. We got the title fight between Murataya and Andy Cruz confirmed. We have a lot of moving parts at the 135. A lot of contenders are coming up, so it's to be a champion in a stacked division like the 135, it requires a lot. So, hey, these guys are gonna battle it out, and we're gonna see who's gonna take that pressure. But as of right now, like you said, I'm not too knowledgeable on Noakes, so I mean, I have to go Abdullah Mason just because we've literally watched him since his early beginnings with Top Rank, so we know what we're getting. So I mean, and it's very hard to bet against someone like Abdullah Mason. Just the technique, the IQ, the power. I mean, this kid has it all, man. I've been a big fan of him, and I think he is going up. When he was a prospect, I thought he was the best prospect in boxing. Now he's an official contender, and now he's on the brisk of becoming a world champion. So I can't, stop supporting Abdullah Mason for this one fight. So I got to go for Abdullah Mason.
Yeah, same here. I mean, he turned professional, I think, at the age of 18, 19. So, I mean, he's been a professional for 4 or 5 years, if that. And so, yeah, he's on the fast track, and, there's a reason why. And I think for me, I was sold after his, 4th or 5th fight. And, yeah, I mean, it's been nothing but uphill. So, yeah, Abdullah Mason. And I'm going to go by decision victory.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a hard fight. I think, listen, Abdullah, he has great skills. The one thing that I think he's still missing a little bit, which I think he's still working on, is he gets a little too eager sometimes. Like, he gets in there and he knows he's so good. He has the skills, but when you get a little too eager, I think that's why he got dropped. He was a little too eager. He thought he was better than his opponent, which he was. But he started rushing his shots, and his defense wasn't, 100% there. His range wasn't 100% there. He got caught in the line of fire. So I think in this fight, if Abdullah is impatient, he could probably get dropped again, or Noakes could hit him with some hard shots. So I don't think it's gonna be a cakewalk for Abdullah. I think I think it should be a very competitive fight. But Abdullah, if he just stays patient. I think he does have the better skills. So I think Abdullah should win this fight, probably decision as well.
So there you have it. We're all once again in agreement. Abdullah Mason will be the new WBO 135 champion and become the youngest active champion in boxing today. And now going down to the final big fight of the card, we got the return of Bam Rodriguez as he takes on Puma Martinez. Puma Martinez, Argentinian, coming off from 2 back-to-back wins against Ioka over in Japan. Meanwhile, we got Bam Rodriguez coming from a 10th round TKO stoppage over Cafu. Bam Rodriguez is the unified champion at 115, and they're going to be battling it out for Martinez's, or for 3 belts for that matter. So should be a great unification fight at the 115. The winner will be leaving with 3 belts and with perhaps a shot at undisputed sometime later in 2026. But thoughts about this matchup so far?
Yeah, for me, I think this is going to be another great performance for Bam Rodriguez. I think, we talked about it earlier. He was planning on possibly fighting against Nakatani. Nakatani is a guy who is a very tough fighter. So, change of plans. Now he has to fight Puma, and I think it's going to be another accolade under his belt. Having 3 titles in that weight class. And if he wanted to, I guess he has options now. I think, these other guys are moving up in weight. He's still there. He seems to be like the only guy there that's going to dominate the division. I mean, I wouldn't see why not beating Martinez and then going and fighting for that last belt, taking it.
Yeah, I think that's his plan. I think his plan is to go undisputed, which is smart. That's just legacy right there. It might not be the flashiest, like a Nakatani fight. That's obviously a mega fight right there. But it's a legacy fight, he's going, this is a world champion. We might not know exactly who Puma is, but he is a world champion. Also, funnily enough, from Argentina. We rarely get Argentinians in boxing, right? Especially world champion Argentinians. Yeah, so that's interesting. But, listen, you can't, Bam is top 5 pound for pound fighter in the world right now. This guy's special, right? He has generational talent. So no one at 115 can touch him. 118, besides Nakatani, I don't think anyone else really poses a challenge to him. So I think he's just going to be, destroying all the competition. there's no one on his level. So I think this weekend he's just gonna show out. He's probably I'm thinking he's gonna get a stoppage. He's gonna stop Puma. This guy's just so good. So I mean, enough said, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess you're predicting a Bam Rodriguez stoppage win. I'm also predicting him to stop. I mean, like you said, if you don't want to put him top 5 pound for pound 5, fine, but I mean top 10 easily. He's easily a pound for pound fighter, and the quality that he brings to the ring, especially when it comes to a big fight. Remember the fight when he fought Estrada? I mean, he was possessed. I mean, and I'm no doubt about it. He's going to come out possessed as well against Puma Martinez, who many consider as the second best 115 pounder fighter in the world. So he's definitely going to show out, especially for such a big unification fight in the biggest card of the year. So I'm expecting nothing less than greatness and a great overall performance from Bam. And I'm predicting, I'm going to be, a bit more precise. I'm predicting a 8th round TKO stoppage by Bam.
Are you going to put money on that?
No.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to go with the stoppage for Bam Rodriguez. Just stoppage.
Bro, stop copying our picks, bro. Come on.
Yeah, bro, be original right now.
Oh.
Well, you heard it here. Once again, for the 4th time in a row, we're all in agreement for Bam Rodriguez to hold 3 belts in the division and to remain undefeated and continue his path towards undisputed at the weight division. So there you guys have it, our official predictions and our thoughts about the overall card of the year, headlined by David Benavidez against Anthony Yarde. Big weekend coming up, and I'm very excited for it. But we still got to talk about this past weekend where we had the big rematch in the UK, headlined by Chris Eubank Jr. as he took on Conor Benn to see whether or not Conor Benn could avenge his win or loss, or Eubank could showcase that it was not a fluke. But I was very disappointed, guys. I'll be honest with you guys. I was expecting Chris Eubank to come out, demonized once again and showcase a good performance, but instead we got the complete opposite. I think this was probably one of the worst rematches I've seen in a while, especially since I was going for Eubank Jr. So I was disappointed with the outcome, but congrats to Conor Benn, I guess. Thoughts about it?
Yeah, for me, not what I had predicted. I was expecting Eubank to stop Benn, and end Benn's career once and for all. But it seemed as though with this victory, Benn has multiple options now. Now he's going to go down to 147, and he's tweeting out at everybody that he's ready. Whoever they put in front, he's all for the smoke. But it's funny. In their first matchup, Eubank had to pay, what was it, $500,000 to Benn because he missed weight the day of the fight. And I honestly, because he was so confident in coming into the rematch with the same stipulations, with the same weight clauses, I kind of assumed that it was going to be a lot more easier for him. I thought he was going to be a lot more confident and just be able to capitalize on Benn's mistakes. But to be honest, I think I don't want to not give credit to Benn. He did a pretty good job of pressing the action all 12 rounds, and then especially with those 2 knockdowns at the end. But I really do think the weight was the main factor. I would have loved to have seen how Benn would have fought if Eubank could have rehydrated, however much he wanted to.
Yeah, obviously the weight is, the biggest talking point of this fight, and probably it should be. Eubank, I have no idea why he agreed to the 10-pound rehydration clause again.
Bro, you won.
He won. You're the A side. What are you doing? I'd be like, you want your rematch, man? How bad do you want it? There's no 10-pound rehydration clause in here. So I was so surprised. And this time he actually made the weight, so he didn't pay a fine. So yes, that's all true. He looked a little bit slow in there. He looked, not really complete. The thing is though, you gotta give credit to Conor Benn, man. Like he did an amazing performance. I was really impressed by him. He looked fast, explosive, Like he just looked really good. Like it looked like how you always imagined Conor Benn, how he was looking at 147 when he was on those eggs, you know. So it was a great showing by him. I was really impressed by his power, by his physicality. I mean, he was just pushing Eubank Jr. around like it was nothing, you know. So he's a compact guy, and he's got some physicality to him. And you know, those knockdowns in the 12th round were just the cherry on top. I mean, everyone knew that Conor Benn was going to win the fight going into the 12th round, but Benn, I mean, he wanted to stamp it, and he got those two knockdowns. You know, he showed great stamina. He can carry the power all the way into the 12th round. And it's sad for Eubank, really, because I did want him to win. And he was wearing like the classic trunks for his dad, so it was kind of sad that, you know, he lost. He walked out with 50 Cent too, with that big ass robe that he was wearing. So it didn't go according to plan for him. You know, now he's went back to the drawing board. But it looks like they squashed the beef. It looks like there's no trilogy that's gonna happen. So, you know, Eubank is older, on the older side, and I think he probably knows that, you know, that weight cut was absolutely brutal. So he's probably thinking to himself, yeah, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, and he also loses on a potential Canelo showdown. I mean, Eubank was one of the many rumored names for a Canelo opponent for 2026 as a comeback fight. But with this loss, Eubank Jr. kind of lost that opportunity. No one's going to really want to see Canelo take on Eubank Jr. So Eubank Jr. lost another big payday, a mega payday against Canelo. So I'd be very sad about that. But yes, Conor Benn got the win. Afterwards, he stated that he wanted to go down to 147. Eddie Hearn doubled down on that take as well, which I think it's kind of crazy. You're telling me he actually weighed heavier than Eubank Jr. on weigh-ins for this fight. So you're telling me he's gonna go and cut down to 147 again? Dude, that's crazy. I think that's too much. But then again, what other option does he have? Because he can go stay at 160, which I don't think it would go well for him against like a Johnny Beck or someone like that. Or he could go down to 154, which it's 154. That's a division full of monsters in there. So 147 would be the more ideal, considering how weak the competition is there overall. But I think that's a big weight cut, considering he's already fought back-to-back fights at 160, and I don't know if his body will be able to really hit that 147 mark like it did back in the day. Thoughts about it?
Look, yeah, I'm kind of interested to see how Conor Benn's team moves after this. I was kind of they've always been saying, after this fight, no matter win or lose, Conor Benn was gonna go down to 147, but I mean, they get to the point where if you continue to keep your body at a certain weight, it's your body, you're going to get older. Your body's going to start feeling that weight as normal, almost like normal walk around weight. That if he tries to go down to 147, he's going to be like Eubank, dehydrated, which is another reason why I don't really give too much credit to Conor Benn. I mean, yes, he performed well. He looked like the old Conor Benn, but how about we put him up against a guy who isn't on a rehydration clause? It's like you had him fight with the broken foot almost. That's how I see it.
Well, listen, I am not a fan of rehydration clauses as a whole in general, right? However, I would say that this particular case, I think, is absolutely perfectly fine to have a rehydration clause, because that fight was never going to happen. These guys are completely different statures, sizes. Eubank is tall and he weighs a lot. He fights at 168, and Conor Benn, what is he, like 5'8", 5'9", and he fights at 147. This fight would have never happened without that rehydration clause, and it sets the stage for more comparable, because the bigger guy doesn't have that size advantage that he normally does. So in that particular case, I think it's warranted a rehydration clause. But then, from a business perspective, if I was on the Eubank team, I'd tell him, don't include that rehydration clause so your size actually plays a role in the fight. So that's what rehydration clause is supposed to do. It's supposed to take away the size advantage for the bigger guy, and that's what it did.
But I guess one could argue that maybe it was a little bit too much, especially for me after the fourth round, I thought Eubank was going to start turning it up. but I just never saw that. I never saw that gear. I never saw that that second gear, that third gear, the fourth gear. He just kept fighting at the same speed. I mean, he wasn't doing anything really to change the rhythm of the fight. And I understand that logic, or I understand that point where, you know, maybe the guy doesn't have the size advantage, but I think this was almost too extreme. You know, he was just too weak. He couldn't really perform that well, and it got to him. But at the end of the day, that's what he signed up for. So I guess, you know, I mean, he asked for this, and that's how the fight went. So.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's Eubank's own damn fault for accepting such strict clauses to the contract for the rematch, especially. So, congrats to Conor Benn. He's gotten himself now a lot of options, and overall a lot of hype. His stock definitely increased with this win over Eubank Jr. Eubank Jr., a lot of people are calling for his retirement, so we'll see what happens next for him. But regardless, lots of options for Conor Benn at 147, maybe 154. So we'll see where him and Eddie Hearn decide to go. But we got 45 minutes into the podcast. You guys want to talk about Divino?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about him very briefly. I think that was the main card. You know, of course, in the UK, Eubank and Conor Benn, but we also had the Mexican card as Top Rank is still searching for a home. They decided to stream it on Tubi, and that's where we saw the return of El Divino Espinosa as he got himself the 11th round TKO stoppage and retained his WBO belt. So this was a good showing over Kehagi, whatever his name is. And lots of options for El Divino Espinosa. We had Bruce Carrington, Shushu himself, calling him out and stating that he wants a shot at El Divino and he believes that he can be the one to defeat the 6'1" featherweight champion. Thoughts about that matchup?
Well, in regards to his fight, you know, he performed, you know, the way, you know, everyone was expecting him to perform. I was kind of surprised the fact that, you know, every time you have a fight in Mexico, the officials could let you die. I mean, you signed that contract. Hey, if you die almost. Because there were some points within the fight that I was very surprised that not only the coach wasn't saying anything, you know, in the corner of the opponent, but also, like, the referee didn't say anything. You know, the doctor kept saying, yeah, he's all good. Está bien. So, yeah, you know, El Divino did what he had to do. He proved once again why he's the number one guy at that weight class. And, yeah, no one else is going to beat him. I don't see anyone matching or being able to beat him. Yeah, other than maybe Naoya in a way, if he decides to move up to 126. But as of right now, yeah, untouchable.
Yeah, man, I agree, but I want to see that Bruce Carrington fight. You know, Bruce Carrington's got a big mouth, right? And listen, I'm not the biggest fan of him. I don't think his personality just seems a little too, you know, I don't really like his personality that much, but he does have skills. He is a top guy at 126, so why not shut him up? You know, Espinosa, that's a big fight too, because Carrington does have a decent fan base. You know, he's a top ranked guy. Top Rank has been you know, taking care of him for a long time now. He has a decent amount of fans. That's a big fight, you know, Espinosa versus Bruce Carrington. And Bruce Carrington has been asking for it. And when that fight happens, you already know in the build-up, Carrington's going to be talking a lot of trash. And when Espinosa beats the shit out of him and stops him, it's going to end up in an edit when trash talking goes wrong. I mean, come on now, dude. I'm looking ahead. I want to see this fight. It's going to be, first of all, I think it's very entertaining. Bruce Carrington does come to fight. But Espinosa, just at 6'1", no one in that weight class has the physicality to stop him. And he also has very good punch selection, man, and a very good gas tank. So volume like crazy as well. I mean, this guy is just the real deal. It's very hard to stop him if you're not physically, like, if you can't physically just get him off of you, it's very hard to stop him. So he can also take a fucking punch, man. El Tren Ramirez damn near knocked him out, and then he still came back and won the fight. So, you know, he definitely got a chin to him as well. So he's a very tough Mexican, typical Mexican. So this was obviously a stepping stone this past weekend, and I think Bruce Carrington should be next. I think the fans want to see it too. So Top Rank, Bob Arum, make it happen.
Yeah, Bruce Carrington, even though he is the interim champion for the WBC, definitely trying to get that showdown with Espinosa, which I think would be it'd be a big fight for both of them. I think more so for Carrington, just because he's yet to have a big name on his resume and yet to become a champion. So, yeah, beating a fighter like Espinosa, who Ring has him as number one, a lot of people, including us, have him as number one fighter in that division, would be a great feat, and it would be a huge name to add to his resume. So, Bruce Carrington, definitely, I can see why he's chasing it. I'm surprised no one's really chasing Angelo Leo. I mean, Angelo Leo's top ranked too. I mean, he knocked out El Venao. I see no one really calling them out. We could get unification in there as well. So, but Espinosa, definitely, there's more credibility into beating him. But yeah, you're gonna have to go to hell and back if you wanna beat someone of that quality. And I mean, bro, Espinosa delivered like 10 rounds essentially, 10 rounds of an ass whooping, and then proceeded to sing at the end of the night, it was the mariachi band. So he's got a good personality, not only outside of the ring, but in the ring he showcases the quality and the talent that he has. So I'm always excited to see El Espinosa fight anytime.
Yo, if my opponent beat the shit out of me and then decides afterwards to sing a song, I'm shooting him.
It is very disrespectful, man. It is very disrespectful. Hey, I love that about Espinosa. If you look at his IG, he always has like videos of him like training, and then he just starts bursting out into song, man. So I think that's a great fucking like just a feature to have like as a fighter. That makes you a fan favorite. So once he knocks out Carrington, then he can start singing singing too and disrespect Carrington.
We'll definitely see, but Espinosa definitely has big names on his horizon, and hopefully we can get a matchup between him and Carrington. Top Rank can make it happen. But I think we covered everything that we wanted to cover in today's episode. Let us know down below your official predictions for Benavidez against Anthony Yarde, as well as the whole card for this upcoming weekend in Saudi Arabia. Biggest card of the year. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all forms of social media. We are on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. This was Pablo, and I was Rudo Nasa, and this was the Last Round Podcast. Thank you for watching.